coming shopping in San Francisco. You touched on this a little bit, but with the images going on with what's happening with mass retail theft,
yes.
What are you telling people to make sure that they still turn out and shop?
Oh, I forgot to make one important announcement. Through the end of the year, all of the city-owned parking garages, there's a lot of them in downtown, there'll be 2 hours free parking, which is almost unheard of in San Francisco. So I think how we get the word out is, what's happening and what just happened this past weekend is people have noticed an increased presence of our police officers. They've noticed our ambassadors. They've noticed some changes. And we're hoping that not only will the media help us to get the word out, but our advertisement through the Shop and Dine, social media, and also word of mouth. I have been getting a lot of great responses from people about their experiences in shopping downtown this past weekend. I was down there myself just to, see how people feel. I know that people feel a certain kind of way because there are a number of stores that are boarded up, but they're still showing up, they're still shopping, and we are still there. We have our police officers in those garages as well. We have an escort program. We have a number of ambassadors. We're keeping the streets clean, and we're gonna work at this every single day. So we are hopeful that people will come back, and I think this past weekend when you saw all those folks out ice skating, shopping, going to restaurants and hanging out, the city was jumping. There were people who were going to plays at Golden Gate Theater and the Orpheum. There was a performance at the Warfield. I mean, San Francisco was really packed, jam-packed on Saturday and Sunday, and we're hopeful those experiences will lead to others knowing that we're going to do everything we can to keep our city safe and to open it for business, and we're hopeful that we will turn that image around.
There's been a lot of tough talk, which is a good thing for a lot of these people to assure people the city's safe. But how are you going to hold people accountable to show people that this isn't going to happen again in San Francisco?
Well, I got to say, part of what we're doing to hold people accountable and what is within my ability to do so is, number one, make sure that we have officers who are out on the streets and on the ground. And once the arrests are made, we are hopeful that our DA will prosecute. It is my understanding that today he either already made an announcement or will be making an announcement about felony charges on the 8 people that we were able to arrest during, what happened this past Friday. So I think ultimately, there is a lot of tough talk, but, talk doesn't mean anything unless we can demonstrate that we've actually followed through on what we say we're going to do, and people are held accountable for the crimes that they commit in our city.
Any concerns about COVID going into the holidays surge?
Of course there are concerns about COVID going into the holiday. That's why we're asking people to get vaccinated and get your flu shot. I got mine on the same day. I got my booster shot and I got a flu shot, and so far I'm okay. And that was about 2 weeks ago.
My colleague did an interview with the chief yesterday. One of the things you guys talked about was the surveillance cameras. Obviously, the current laws of the city, the police can't watch them live. Is that something that we think we need to revisit, or what's your view on that?
I think that part of what we need to be able to do, we understand that there are privacy laws and we don't want to violate anybody's rights, but at the end of the day, we have to be strategic around how we provide safety. And being able to access these cameras to deal with some of the most violent of crimes in our city is important. And, I know we've dealt with this issue many, many years ago in our public housing sites where, the number of homicides that occurred weren't being solved, and people would witness this, but they were concerned about their own safety. And having cameras were significant in helping us to solve a lot of these crimes and actually prosecute people for them. So definitely it's a conversation that needs to be had and a change that we need to make, and we will work on with our chief on trying to make some changes to that.
Feel particularly vulnerable if something to that level can happen to big retail, big brands. What kind of protection or reassurance can you give small business owners throughout, the city who have experienced a lot of theft in the pandemic? pandemic? And
Yeah,
how do you-
I think a couple of things that we've been doing and some resources we allocated. Like, for example, we've had small businesses that have had their windows broken, and not necessarily for theft, but just random acts. And so we have a broken windows fund that we've provided for small businesses and provided resources in the budget. We also, through our Department of Office of Economic and Workforce Development, working with merchants to install more cameras on their establishments. We can't put a camera on somebody's business or somebody's property, but we try to work with the businesses, and we have provided the funding for hundreds of cameras all over the city. And the latest one we just did with Safe, SF Safe, was in Chinatown in particular. So really the outreach that we're doing with the Office of OEWD and talking to and working with small businesses, we're trying to help when they do experience those particular problems with either grants or no interest loans. We've had to do a lot of that in one-on-one discussions with businesses, working with the Council of District Merchants and the Merchants Association. I know that there are a number of businesses that have been hard hit, and we've been able to provide support in some of those instances, not in every single instance.
Just one more, but the chief is available afterwards as well.
Okay.
No,
Go ahead.
we have one
Have you
more.
finalized any plans to close any streets around Union Square through traffic?
Yeah, we have not finalized the plans to close any streets through traffic, but right now what's happening is some of the main points of entry in the evening time to Union Square have been cut off. We are cutting those things off from, what time is it, Chief?
7 till 6 in the morning.
So it's 7 p.m. till 6 in the morning, and we're looking at permanent street closures. And the goal is, of course, to make it difficult for cars to commit the acts that they have, where they have basically bum rushed these stores, taken a lot of items and jumped in their vehicles and taken off. We're trying to look at ways in order to make downtown shopping experience more safe for pedestrians, because this is not just about stolen goods. This is about in the process of getting away and how someone can get hurt. And so having the ability to shop without concern about a vehicle hitting you is really important. And so we're currently working with MTA to have those discussions. So thank you all. And after you've finished wrapping up your cameras, make sure you go and eat at one of the restaurants on Chestnut Street. What a beautiful day in San Francisco where you don't even have to wear a jacket to hang out here. So thank you all so much for being here.